We have a call to order for the regular meeting of the Leland Dam Authority. We'll forego the pledge since we just did that, and the moment of silence. Roll call, please, Allison. Or do we want to forego that too? I guess we're going to forego a roll call too, since we just went through that. So I have a motion here to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. We have an agenda. The approval of the minutes are going to be, we had a bit of hiccup here on with getting the minutes, so we're going to move that to the next meeting. So this is also public comment, 3 minutes. Hearing none, seeing none. I'd like to move into our first item, our first action item. We do have some guests here today. I would like to recognize our guests, Mike Size from Eagle. Mike. Pat Machin.
He's on a weather delay.
Weather delay?
I think so.
Okay. Dan DeVaughn from GEI. Matt, and yeah, everyone knows Matt. And so what I'd like to do at this time is actually turn it over to Pat Roach, our facilities director. And Pat and I have been going through the yeah, what's the acronym? What's the acronym, Pat? The
Which one? There's like 50 on there.
IEP. Yeah, the IEP.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're going to discuss primarily. Well, let me just kind of launch into it. First of all, good morning, everybody, and thanks for coming out. Our guests that we have here. I'm excited because sometimes you try to set these things up and not everybody can make it, but we really have a nice group of experts that will be great to bounce questions off of. These are subject matter experts, especially with a lot of experience in all these areas. So I'm excited to be here. I hope everyone else is too. What I want to discuss is we talked with Spicer. I believe, was it Sean we spoke with?
Yes. Yeah.
And last meeting was the discussion of the results of the 3-year inspection. And so all this is say, okay, we have that information. This is some structure, how to move forward with that information. I put these things down to generate discussion. You know, these things are locked in stone. The idea is now we've got some platform to build on. So the first part of that I wanted to bring up is discussion of an EDS, which is an executive document summary for request for proposals for the design and project management of the repairs that we discussed at the last meeting. I did write up a draft, and I don't know if that was included with the packet or not. But again, just first pass at this, the project scope would be a design phase to include stability analysis, epoxy for cracks, patching, underpinning for spalling, apron resurfacing, riprap, and project management for bidding, permitting, and oversight of 2027 repairs. Just a suggested phase breakdown would be phase 1 is to address the crack and seal plus a patch to the new cracks that we discovered. Phase 2 would be the big mobilization stage, and that would be the apron resurface. And then after that, of course, there'd be a post-repair validation. In this whole process, there's an acronym that says it's a PFMA. Just have that involved, the probable failure mechanisms assessment as they go and create this repair design and actually effect repair. So we have our experts here. We kind of laid it out there, and I just wanted to make them available for any questions you have as it goes.
Patrick, can I ask you, is what you're referencing, was that in the email that you had sent to Tim?
It is. I don't know if it got forwarded. I assume it was forwarded. Again, it's just a draft. Would you like a copy?
I don't know if it was in here or not. I put everything within the packet that came, and I don't know if that's,
I have a copy here. That's helpful.
do you have that numbered pages that I gave you? Is it in there at all?
No.
It's not? Then, do you want me to go run some copies for anybody? Or would that be helpful?
They
or-
probably find that helpful.
Okay,
Yeah, that'd probably be good.
can we take a quick break?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, let's just take a quick break here and,
Is that pages 4 and 5?
are 4 and 5 the draft?
Oh, it's executive summary.
Hey, Pat, take a look at this here a minute. Is this the,
That's the same thing, Patrick.
Okay.
so we do have it, it's 4 and 5.
Yep,
Yeah,
sorry.
thanks, Garth.
Yep. See, I did read it.
Yeah, you did.
That was a test.
Okay.
I have a couple questions, just some clarity questions. So I did watch the video from December, but we feel like what you're describing, are we feeling like there's enough evidence from the past inspections and the inspection that just happened that conditions are deteriorating over time? Or are we trying to do a more proactive approach? Just a little clarity on that would be great. Thank you.
Well, the new cracks that were discovered, obviously those need to be monitored. The timeline for the larger issues, they recommended, sometime between 27 and 29 to be repaired. So things take a while here to get, especially something that would require large mobilization like that. And so the idea is to get these all rolling. But the critical one is the secondary one. And I'm trying to remember, it was the apron resurface and the issues of spalling, and those were going to be larger in scale. The cracks, the difficulty of those is that they are at or below the water line, so monitoring them creates kind of another difficult factor. And I thought that the best way to move forward is to put it into one. We're going to have to get an engineering consult on this anyways. And so why not have them design a repair, and we can assess how we want to break down the phases.
Okay. Do you think we have enough technical information right now to make a clear RFP?
Yeah, if you've gone over the Spicer report, it's extensive.
Yeah.
And not only the report they have, they have, I think, reports back when we started a decade. Yeah. So I think they are comprehensive. I mean, there's records and dive inspections, so you can see what is emerging, from one inspection to the other. I was really satisfied with the way this was.
And then one last question, just for clarity for me. The RFP would be for design and permitting and construction later in 2027 and oversight, or would that be two different RFPs?
Typically, what we do in the county is when we require expert engineering services like that, like what we're doing with the cooling tower, we put out the request for engineering firms to design a repair, and then because they are the experts, they do the project management for us, and that's worked into the contract.
Great, thank you.
Okay, Pat?
Any other questions? I think that, you know, what I'm looking for is maybe a recommendation to take that to the administrator. You know, if you feel like that's the direction, then that's the vehicle it would take, would be an executive document summary prepared for the administrator that he would bring up in front of the Board of Commissioners.
Right.
And so maybe at some point, I don't know how the order of the meeting works, but at some point, I would probably need that recommendation of that official.
Help us understand the dollar requirement for the most critical repairs, near-term repairs. I shouldn't say critical, but the repairs that need to be done in the first step.
Well, the first step would be getting some way to monitor those cracks, the new cracks. I mean, right now they aren't critical, but they are emergent. We didn't find them last time, and now they're there.
Okay.
We know about them, and like I said, because they're underwater, the difficulty of like applying a crack meter. I'm trying to remember what the technical term was, but crack gauge.
Yeah.
So, then that's great. We could get a diver, you know, again, at great expense, to go down there and fix that, but then we have to figure out how to monitor it. And again, we had some ideas like, you know, the pole on a camera on a stick that might be able to do that. We could break it down that way if that's what you decided as the dam authority, but like I said, I mean, the outside window for the major repairs as recommended by Spicer was 2029. They're saying the major repairs need to be done by 2025. Now, of course, at any point, something else could emerge. And the cost for the second one is expensive because it'll probably involve like a barge and getting in there, and well, we have our experts here. So anybody would like, maybe Dan, you want to talk about those kind of repairs?
You're talking about downstream riprap?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come up and so they can hear you on the mic.
Hi. Yeah, so the additional repairs, as Pat mentioned, certainly monitoring the structure for movement upstream of the crack is definitely a concern. The state, I'll go ahead and kind of preface this. The state's gone through and done a screening level risk assessment on all the high and hazard dams around the state. Screening level risk assessment has been done on this dam. It's not published yet. That will be coming out later this summer. But with that, the initial findings, I can say internal erosion, or basically loss of soil or foundation material beneath the dam, is the #1 concern associated with this dam. That can be induced by a combination of scour as well as just seepage coming underneath the dam and moving the material. The fact that you're seeing cracks that are showing is certainly maybe indicative of some problems. Could just be concrete deterioration, but it also could be movement or settlement of the structure, which is more problematic. So certainly addressing the scour that's present downstream of the structure is warranted. And so putting in essentially kind of a filtration material. So we call it reverse graded filter. So packing in sand, gravel, rock, large stone, in order to keep any material from migrating out from underneath the dam. It's going to be valuable to providing a long-term stability for it. And with that also help manage the energy as it's coming off the dam and not creating a scour hole. it warrants some additional investigation and then, working towards some designs on that. Like I said, that downstream filter and energy dissipation is going to provide you longer-term stability, kind of regardless of, the current condition of the foundation material. I think the crack monitoring certainly makes sense for an initial first step to make sure you're not getting any active or continuous settlement of the structure. Potentially some survey monitoring points on the structure might also be good, just to get a really refined measurement to see whether or not things are moving. And then if need be, you may be looking at in the future potentially some more significant foundation repairs if you are getting material loss. But certainly wouldn't want to necessarily jump straight to that.
To put you on the spot, could you come up with an estimate just for the inspections on the cracks?
I could,
Order of magnitude.
Yeah, I typically contract out the dive team, but I mean, I'm guessing you're probably looking at something like, and I'm really just kind of throwing numbers out there. I'd say 15,000 or something like that to get a diver to go down. Because I mean, the safety side of it is always the biggest challenge with putting a diver next to a dam.
You said 15,000?
I would say at least that, just to get down there, get your gauge installed. I think the challenge, as Pat mentioned, is I think you are going to want to come up with a monitoring system that doesn't require a diver to go down there continuously. So I'm going to get a little creative on the gauge.
In the last meeting too, we spoke, there is internet out at the dam control room. So there's a possibility to do real-time monitoring with it's basically like a Fitbit for these cracks. It'll monitor them and send information that we can read through the internet. That product's out there, again, implementing it though.
So when I wear my other hat as a land surveyor, I understand what the survey monitoring points are on a dam. I've done that before. So can we come up with a monitor on the dam that kind of ties in with what Pat just said,
Yeah.
where we can really detect movement daily if there was movement, or at least or monthly or whatever. Yeah, not daily, but maybe every 6 months or whatever.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
it's,
that makes perfect sense.
yeah, so like a survey monitor, at least what I've done before on dams is, we have stationary points adjacent to the dam that we set our instrument on, and then we do our checks.
Yeah, you can do it either with, setting monument points, or you can even, just set prisms.
Yeah.
Then you're getting the exact same point.
Right, yeah, I've done it with monument points and total station and prisms and that, yeah. So, but if there's a way we can tie in monitor points into what we do have there, since we do have a live feed there, right?
Yeah, and we have the Rimble computerized maintenance management, so that can feed right into that. So we will have the history recorded and able to look at the whole trend. And that ties in with our current maintenance management system. My thought process, just listen to Dan speak, is that, well, okay, so yes, we can do it in phases, but it makes sense to me to be working with, one project manager who, is setting up the crack, the crack monitoring and then helping us figure out the technical challenges of getting that to do what we want it to do. And then, because then obviously, then they'll be moving on to designing the major repairs, but because it's still part of one contract, they will be helping us get that monitoring really dialed in.
Mm-hmm.
Where do the funds come from for this, and is it budgeted for? Does it come from the county's budget or the county's capital improvement program?
There is a dam account.
Okay.
And then Well, Commissioner Campbell might be able, he sat through more EOC meetings than I have.
I sat through a lot of them damn account meetings.
Careful.
Well, we do have a contingency fund. I'm not sure how much is, I don't think anything has been placed on our capital improvement project list yet. But for the big project, I mean, the $15,000, I don't think, it needs to be done, and I don't think that's going to be a problem. The big project, depending on that amount, but it sounds like that's going to be a sizable amount, would have to be included in our capital improvement projects. And we're hopeful that this next year that to integrate our capital improvement projects with our budget so that when they're actually on the list that there's money set aside to accomplish them. That's as far, for the immediate, yeah, that
That's not
needs
a
to
problem.
get done and we'll make that happen. I say that, I'm one of 7 votes, but I just can't imagine in the case of safety, the county board saying we're not gonna fund that.
Thank you.
Mr. Campbell can correct me if I'm wrong, but these are usually broken down into 2 phases. So the first part, we are paying them to come up with a design, just like we're doing with the cooling tower. And then the next phase, the project manager buys us a little time so we can get the design done in 26, and that gives us a chance to budget for any major, mobilization in 27, so that we can do what the commissioner says and work it into the budget.
So our objective here today, though, is what you were saying earlier, was, about an RFP. And then we need to create an EDS, because we have to present it to the board, right? And are we gonna be able to, what's the timeline, I guess, Pat, on getting an RFP then?
Well, for me, I mean, based on the recommendation of the dam authority, I can put it together pretty fast. I'd like some help, with the wording. I can take a pretty good pass at it, but get some other eyes on it to make sure it's doing exactly what we want it to do. I'll probably seek some advice from some of my technical experts, but I could put an EDS together for February. That meeting's second week of February, correct?
Oh, for the county board?
Yeah.
Do you not want to run it through this board as a recommendation first, or?
Yes, that's what I was talking about in the beginning of the meeting. Like I would need you guys to make that recommendation for me to go ahead and write that.
And right now, our schedule is our next meeting, which we just set, is until the end of March.
Right. But, well, I guess it's a matter of how urgent, I guess,
We have a little bit of wiggle room with that. Obviously, I think the sooner we get those cracks monitored, the better. The dam overall condition was listed as in good shape. I cannot predict the future. I'm letting you know so that I can say I let you know.
Yeah.
But what you're looking for is a recommendation from this board for X number of dollars, at least to start the monitoring.
Yes, to start the monitoring, and I really would like it to be exactly parallel like we did with the cooling tower, is let's get bids for someone to design a repair plan and include that in it, and that would be phase 1. And then they will come up with a plan with a cost associated with that, and then we put that in our 27 or even 28 budget if you want to push it down the road.
But today, you're just looking for a recommendation to move forward with an RFP.
Yes, we have
That's all.
we have this information, and we shouldn't sit on it.
Right. And can we do that today? Make a recommendation to have him move forward with
Yeah,
creating an RFP?
yeah. I would like to entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we authorize preparation of request for proposals for engineering services to correct the deficiencies in the dam.
I'll second that.
Got that, Al? Yeah?
Does that do what you need?
I think so, and I can keep you posted. I can send out, I'll put together my best pass at it, and I can send that out for you to look at. And if a lot needs to be changed, then we can submit it for the March VOC.
Pat, do you want dollar figures attached to this recommendation?
I don't think so, because I don't really have them yet. I mean, I have ideas, and I can get general numbers. Like already we heard from Dan that just to get the crack monitors on there is going to be, I mean, I would suspect it would be on a similar scale to what we found with the cooling tower, so that the first part was, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was like, the first part was like 45,000 or something like that for the design.
For the cooling tower?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
And then they have a price breakdown, or where it's broken down. The design is cost in the bid process is designed to be a percentage of what they estimate the total project cost. That's the proposal formula that, people smarter than me have figured out, and I'm still trying to learn. And obviously, I think the county administrator helped me shape this and make sure it does everything it needs to do. Again, my guess for the design portion, probably 40, 50 grand, but I don't know.
So leave the dollars out for now.
I think so. I think that we can develop that further, and then when I go to present it to the Board of Commissioners, there will be, there will be that dollar information in there, because we're saying quest for bids, and those have numbers attached.
Yeah, they prefer no surprises.
Yeah. Do we need to vote on this? Yeah, okay, so did I get a second?
Second.
Oh, okay.
And just for clarification, that's the way I'm going to do that. Say I want a design for the fairs that includes the crack repair and monitoring. That will be incorporated into one RFP, not breaking it down into just fixing the crack issue and monitoring, and then waiting a year or anything like that. I just want to be clear so you know what you're recommending.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, right now, we're just recommending the RFP, and then the RFP will provide all that information.
Correct.
Well, all those in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Okay, so,
if I might just say that if it is, I mean, we don't know how much it's going to be. This thing comes in at anything, $75,000, $100,000. It would be nice to be able to work with that contractor to, as you had discussed, push that off to 2027, or a portion of it, as in get the monitor in, and then budget for the full cost in 2027. I just, in the worst case scenario, when it comes in a lot higher than what we're talking about, we're going to, financing it would be, may take a two-step. And
I would think it would have to be.
yeah, I don't think you're just going to pull that out. So it would be nice, though, if somehow it got separated out enough that we can make sure that we can monitor that crack.
I think so, because that's basically what we did with the cooling tower. It's done in these phases, and I don't know, Dan could probably speak to that.
I was going to say, my recommendation would be that you put an RFP out for engineering services for the breadth of what you really want to address at the dam. So, there's the crack monitoring, there's the scour foundation evaluation, there's EHP support. You're kind of looking at this and saying, we want to make sure that we're putting this dam forward to be good for the next 50 to 100 years. And we've got the planning and everything in place to make sure it stays safe, and if anything goes wrong, we have appropriate response.
Right.
So what I would say is make sure that who you're seeking has the capabilities to work on, and understand all of that, and then make it such that you can basically then review and approve phases of work. So you get to set not to exceed tasks for them to work on as you've got funds available and are, needing to address the most urgent issues. That way, you've got at least the right people in the room, and they can help you talk through the issues and plan accordingly, and plan for the budget too.
That seems to be in alignment with what we're talking about.
Yeah, I think you mentioned in your motion engineering services.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Dwayne?
I can just add a little something. Being up there almost twice a week, the section that we're talking about, which has the most damage, is the spillway. So in the years that I've been up there, we have not opened up the spillway as much as we have been in the last few years. So that is getting a lot of wear and tear. So the weather events that we're going through, we got 3 boards pulled up there right now for the winter. And I haven't done that in years. So I think it needs to be done sooner, monitoring it later.
Okay.
That helps.
So there's a sense of urgency.
There is a sense of urgency, especially on the spillway, where a lot of this is occurring.
So you're not talking about the crack, just to,
Well, I think that's where some of the cracks are, is under that spillway, which is getting used and opened up a lot more than it has in the years that I've been. We're getting these weather events where we're going up and pulling 3 boards at a time to keep the lake level up.
Yeah, just the people that don't know your history, Dwayne, Don's a new member here. How long have you been?
I've been almost 10 years of running and doing the dam, so.
Wayne would be considered the technical expert running our dam. His expertise and how he's able to basically drive that thing. He is our primary dam operator. Anything that's done to that goes pretty much from his direction.
And Dan, this is your wheelhouse, right? Dams?
Yeah.
Okay, so how long have you been at it?
I've been working on dams, I think, I don't know, 12 to 15 years, something like that at least. Specifically with dams, I was with the state of Michigan for 3 years as the senior statewide dam safety engineer. I've been consulting for 10 years.
So I'm just wondering, you've seen a lot of dams, where does our dam fit in with some of your?
That's a great question. So I actually was just showing Mike where you guys rank on the plots. Again, it's screening level. Financial, we'll say you're in the upper half as far as risk. As far as risk to population, because there's just not that much downstream, and the screening level doesn't consider what we call transient population, or people that are just visiting. You get a lot of visitors there. You don't show up on those plots. So at a screening level, you're not that high on the list, but the risk that you do have, like I said, associated with the scour and potential undermining and potentially settlement or movement, which could lead to cracking and things like that, is concerning. It's a risk factor that, quite frankly, isn't usually one of the prevailing ones across our portfolio of dams in the state, and the fact that it's ranking as high as it is for you is something that probably should be looked into.
Just to augment what Dan's saying is, in the event of a catastrophic failure, that scenario is different if it happens today versus if it happens in June or July. The mobilization to get everybody out of harm's way in that case, that's a whole other plan, and we'll address some of that later on in the meeting. The issue of the damage it's caused is not only, for Leland, but it backflows all the way back to South Lake Leland. So in catastrophic failure, there's a lot of people, that quickly the south end turns into a swamp.
Right, right.
And even if your dam doesn't fail, we'll say, in a catastrophic way, damage to the dam that either prevents normal operation of it or management of the water levels the way you're intending has very significant impacts on your economy around here.
Yeah.
And it'll be more costly to fix a broken dam than to maintain a functional dam.
And time, right? Yeah.
Something that you may hear me say in further future meetings is that it's expensive to be cheap. And, the fact that we have this information now, it feels prudent to me to act on it and not just to address the known knowns, but to buttress it, while we're going in there to do work, to buttress it against, future potential failure.
Well, Dwayne got,
No, go ahead, I'm sorry.
okay. Dwayne got my attention there so you've been at it, how many years you said?
10.
Yeah, and this is the first time?
This is the first time I've ever had to pull 3 boards in the wintertime. We're 27 inches above normal, and it's only January. And we've had several events over last summer where we're pulling 3 boards to keep up with the lake levels. That's putting a lot of wear and tear on the spillway area that hadn't had that much use. It's getting more and more use to keep up with the lake levels because of these events.
Yeah.
So that side is getting a lot of use, and that's where we're getting a lot of washout from underneath the dam.
Okay. Don?
I was just going to comment, I'm assuming that being proactive also is more favorable with any Eagle regulations or any other regulations the dam is under, I'm assuming?
That is correct.
Okay.
Well, we're far enough into the discussion that, it's good that it appears that we have a little bit of wiggle room in terms of the dam seeming to be reliably sound. But now we've had so much discussion that if anything did happen, it's going to be how come you didn't act?
Well, yeah. Well, before we move on to the next action item here, is there any other questions, I guess?
Yeah, I've got one question. Given the fact that these cracks may be new and there's degradation of the spillway, is there a concern that we're getting excessive piping through the dam or beneath the dam?
That is, a very real concern. There are certainly measures to go out and investigate that and quantify it. Whether or not it's warranted to jump right to that, like I said, I don't know that I would start there. Basically, what you have to do is isolate areas on the spillway and work through the concrete in order to, see what the foundation condition looks like. I would maybe hold off on that and instead kind of hit your, let's say, easy marks first. Obviously, monitoring is important to see if you are getting active movement of the structure, but then also, just filtering the downstream in so that even as water is coming through, you're not losing material. That's going to be needed no matter what. Even if you do go back and you find that there has been loss of foundation material, great, you've already got your filter in place downstream. Now you can go and backfill or basically grout your foundation if needed. It's a concern. I don't know how serious it is yet. More investigation would be warranted.
What kind of investigations would that be something that would be part of the scope of an RFP like we were discussing?
It certainly can be, yes. I think it would be one of those where, if I were proposing on this and I was going to do it, I would lay it out to say that, we would be working with the county to develop a plan to monitor, investigate, and then address issues in a process which mitigates risk while managing costs. And then that basically as monitoring, necessitates additional investigation and perhaps mitigation measures, we would work with the county to move through those. But to really try to make it a phased process, to not just jump into a holistic, let's go start poking holes and filling it's everywhere.
Okay. Do we need to vote on the recommendation?
We did.
Oh,
Yeah,
we got that, okay.
okay.
The state rep from the DNR had some questions.
Yeah, come on up. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you,
Thank you.
guys.
Yeah, thanks, Dwayne.
I just wanted to ask him.
Your mic. Mike?
Correct, yes.
Mike.
Mike size.
Yeah,
Yes.
Mike, yeah.
Remember data safety.
Okay.
If there was a special assessment district already established for this structure as part of means to fund some of these projects.
Did you say it again?
Special assessment
Oh,
district.
special assessment district.
I can say from history, there used to be,
Yeah.
it doesn't exist now, is for the specific project of rebuilding the dam, and I can't tell you how long ago that was.
2022, so in 2022 dollars, it's 4.6,
When was that, though?
2022.
No, it was long before that,
I
actually.
had a form when I was preparing this. It says the cost
I'll
of
go with
replacement would
2006.
be in that
So,
range.
yeah, 20 years ago, let's just say,
Yeah.
one existed. And the replacement, basically, of the dam was split evenly, as I recall, between the county and riparians.
Correct. So, Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, but once it's established, it doesn't go away. So, what I was trying to bring up is that there may be funding mechanisms to use the special assessment district to fund these projects. And so that is something at the county level that you'll need to investigate.
They sometimes do, depending on whether the special assessment district was established under Senate 307 versus 2040.
I couldn't hear that, Dan.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry.
so
Oh,
he's,
you can, okay.
he's saying that sometimes the special assessment district does terminate if there is a new Part 307 that is transferred.
So you're saying it still exists, the special?
I am saying that that is a possibility. I haven't looked into the records yet, but it is something that I believe we should investigate to see if that is a funding mechanism.
Yeah, that was 18 years ago that we
Yeah.
paid it.
I can investigate that, and then if it's applicable, we'll write that into the EDS.
Okay. Well, that would be smart.
Yeah, thanks.
Could you speak a little bit on our dam, if you would, from a state perspective, and to provide a little, I mean, yeah.
I would implore all of you to exit sooner rather than later. Whenever we get deficiencies noted, especially new ones that are disconcerting, it's better to act quicker than to wait. So, there, as Dana pointed out, this does get a lot of people visiting, and it is a risk. So, that gives me a little bit of heartburn when things kind of lay around for, we're talking, potentially 3 years when we know of a deficiency that could potentially be a failure. So, I'm all doom and gloom, unfortunately. I don't have any
That's your job.
advice for you, but I will say that, we would be happy to work with the county in any fashions to help expedite this and get the dam safe.
So you're with Eagle Dam Safety?
Correct. So I would be handling the permitting
Okay.
or any work on the dam.
Any other questions?
Are there any grants or low-interest loan programs available for dam repairs from the state?
Not, we used to have a program within the dam safety unit, however, we did not receive any additional funds to keep that program moving forward. So as far as rehabilitation of existing dams, there's not really much that I know of. Or non-hydro generating, fish barriers. So I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Does the dam have insurance? I'm just curious, maybe cracking is a normal part of its wear, but is there any the cracking part specifically? Does anybody know if that would fall under some sort of insurance?
I wouldn't be able to speak to it. I would think that MMRA, is that part of our policy?
The dam is covered under MMRA. As far as making a claim on it, I don't know that we would do that, but I can certainly ask.
I was just curious, yeah.
Was that done?
I was just curious.
Oh, curious,
Yeah.
yeah.
If I could, to if you could go through your process for controlling dams or regulating dams. We have not been cited at this particular point, is that correct? What would trigger such an action?
This being Part 307 dam that has a legal lake level base, you're under more risk for deviating from that lake level. That would be a county issue. For us to get involved and to issue a violation, you would need to willingly and knowingly probably not act on these deficiencies that are identified within a reasonable time frame. So, and if these deficiencies continue to grow and are observed, and again, before sits on it, then that might predicate a violation. It takes a lot usually to get to that point.
We just need to keep moving forward, I think, is what you're saying.
So,
Don't sit on ours.
Don't sit on it and then, communicate with us. It's really all we ask for. As long as we're still communicating, making progress, that should.
Thank you.
I keyed into what he said about any deviations from the established ruling. It seems to me like that would open us up more. So if through some failure mechanism we weren't able to keep the lake levels as per the decision, that to me would open us up to litigation from public opinion members.
Yes. It's very common. So, 307 structures are all across the state. And every year there's deviations. Counties may pursue for those deviations. So you can avoid it.
So you've experienced, how long have you been with the dam safety?
Just 5 years, and I've had too many interactions already.
Well, thanks. Thanks, Mike. Any other questions for you? Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So moving on to item 3, Pat. This is the EAP segment.
So Bloom and Doom is an excellent segue to talk about the EAP, Emergency Action Plan. And I took a pass at this using the materials and websites that Mike sent to me, and tried to set up something. Again, this can be modified, this can be augmented, but I wanted to start with something that we could start editing. There's 2 versions here. The one that starts on page 6 is just text, and this is the second pass I did at it. The one that starts, I believe, on 16 or 17, page 17. That was my first pass at it. So there's some images in there that obviously working closely with Matt at Emergency Management, Leelanau County Emergency Management. They could help us create a nice document. I just wanted to get a couple of first drafts out there so that we had some discussion points. So if you go to page 7, the top talks about the purpose, and I'll just read it just for the record. The purpose of the EAP is to reduce the risk of human life loss and injury and minimize property damage during an unusual or emergency event at Leland Dam. This plan integrates risk communication principles to ensure transparent, two-way exchange of information with stakeholders, focusing on both benefits e.g. maintaining Lake Leelanau levels for recreation and ecology, and risks of the dam, uncertainty and risk estimates, floods, or other accidents of knowledge and communication, emphasize actions individuals can take. You fail to plan, you plan to fail. The history of the EAP that we have on file, and I spoke with Matt a couple of weeks ago about this, I believe it's 1998. And then there was a non-ratified, there were suggestions made in 2023 for changes. It was never ratified or fully adopted. So this is a huge liability for us not to have a modern, updated one in place.
Mhm.
So there's two items on here. One is discussion for development and adoption. Are you asking, is this what you've developed in
This is,
Word?
yes, this is basically a quick draft that I used with his materials. And I would probably, moving forward, I would just work with Matt.
You mean to finalize it?
Correct.
Okay.
And the reason
And
I put
then-
it in this order is that we need to have a adopted plan in place. And then what we do is we run this tabletop exercise, that is the next part of the packet, where I set it up so that you run one scenario for the summer, and one scenario for the winter or the off-season, because those are going to be two very different events. And it's basically, it's a moderated, it's like Dungeons and Dragons for dam failure. You know, you create a scenario and you say, well, we do this, we activate the plan, this happens, that happens. You sit around with everybody involved, and that would involve the sheriff's office, because obviously if this is in June or July, we have to figure out how to get people out of harm's way, how to divert traffic around the affected area. And that would be a really interesting situation to get everybody out of Leland at 2:00 on a Saturday in July.
Mhm.
Yes.
And the fact that, and we should have, like it mentioned in the purpose, very clear two-way communication of what everybody's role is. And this, having the EAP first, then running through the tabletop exercise, it gives us a chance to see how our plan is.
Mhm.
To run a simulation. Then we take the data from that and adjust or augment the emergency action plan as necessary. And that's something we probably don't need to do every year, but it makes sense to me to do it at least as often as we do the 3-year inspection. So every 3 years we come up with a new, probable failure mode, something that we haven't worked out. We run it for both, scenarios, on season and off season. And we look at how our plans work, and we make changes. And that way, we're sure to keep it updated.
Does it make any sense to have a draft of the AEP and then do the tabletop and then finalize?
That's exactly what I'm
That's what you're,
recommending.
okay.
It's like we actually should have that in place and
Just in
adopted
place.
before we run the exercise.
But adopted as a draft, you mean, and then,
I would
or
say,
however that,
no, I would say, go ahead and say, this is our best shot at it. And then, we run our tabletop exercise, because everything I put in the packet, this is a year's worth of dam authority meetings and work, to address everything that we have here. That's a year's worth. So, so what we're talking about, okay, we discussed the RFP, we get the board of commissioners involved in that process. You can either go ahead and I'll directly engage with Matt and his department about how to write this EAP. When we feel like we got the best draft of that we have, we say we have a draft EAP, Matt can speak to the process of making sure that that's ratified, adopted, and official. But we will do that, and then we plan our tabletop exercise. We take the data from that, and we update the plan.
In reading through this EAP, it seems all-encompassing. You try to think of anything else that we might add, I couldn't come up with a single item. So I think the approach that I would choose is as you describe it. Let's put it out there and say, this is our tentative plan. for the EAP. Question about the tabletop exercises. I look at the dam and from a failure standpoint, either the dam is stuck all the way up and we can't get enough water out of the lake, and that can flood properties and so on, or the gate fails and it washes downstream and we lose all the water. And that's two basic possible failures. Is there anything else that?
One of the things is like a big chunk of ice, but basically the end result is what you're saying. The outcome though, because we live in a dynamic environment, there's nobody on the river or the coming into the dam right now. That's different when there's all the kayakers and the boats. I mean, if the dam were to go, you're going to generate a very fast current, and so maybe less so now in the wintertime, but in the summertime, I mean that could potentially be a very tragic event, and plans need to be set in place to clear people out of the entrance of the river, to let everybody on the river know, that this is imminent or has occurred, and really I think we don't do our due diligence if we don't run through what that would look like.
Okay, the last question I have, who participates in the tabletop exercise? How many people are involved?
Okay,
It
well,
depends.
yeah.
I mean, you want all your stakeholders to be involved with that. So county emergency manager, your first responders, whether that's police and fire department. You have Michigan State Police involved. I guess any county members, definitely the dam operator, potentially contractors to do any emergency repairs or work. I think that covers most of them. But there's also other stakeholders that might pop up here or there. But I typically, and I mean, it depends on the size of the dam and the inundation area too. But other EAP exercises that I've been involved with can have 20 or 50 people.
There's a list on page 46, Rick, if you want to.
We had some discussions about, you said there might be some programs available to us to maybe to facilitate zones.
Correct, yep. So the dam safety unit currently has a contract and funds to update some EAPs for high and significant hazard dams across the state, as well as potentially put on one of these exercises. So, having this EAP this far along, I think we probably need to use the funds for that, but definitely get involved with us for potentially funding the EAP exercise. So,
How would that process go?
it's really just, we have a consultant that is in the contract that the county work with to provide all the necessary information and planning with them to get the EAP exercise finalized, and then just perform for that. So I don't really have a time frame for that, how long that would take. We have until the end of the year with that contract, so I'm sure it's going to.
I think that's doable, and again, I'm supporting Matt's lane. This is Matt's lane. This is his department, his area, and I just want to provide as much support to that as possible. But maybe now's a good time to hear from him.
Before you start, we have a price here of 0 for facilitator fee, 0 to 4,500. I think I heard that the state fee would be around the 0 amount.
Yeah, but I mean, there's other costs associated with it.
Yeah. And you
Still
separated
paying
those
it
out.
is, I think, kind of the
Sure.
thing. All the prep work, that goes into it, I think that the state would cover. However, it's just putting on the actual exercise that we were kind of at the moment. There's usually lunches provided, whatever facility you're operating in, if you have to write anything out.
Okay, well, in a perfect world, kind of, to get back to what you were asking about with the plan being finalized and whatnot, that would be step one. But typically after that happens, after the emergency action plan is in place for, any kind of facility, agency, or function, that's when you start the planning process in order to test that plan. This is a little bit different because we've already kind of started the planning process and what we want to do just to meet the needs of the repair project. The EAP has not been touched since '23, and those haven't been ratified by the dam authority at all. But the tabletop is a good way in order to test those plans because it's a very non-stressful event. My deputy director and I put on quite a few tabletops, and we have to stress when we go into it that, there's no bad questions. We want everybody to feel comfortable in order to participate, add something to it, because sometimes a question out of left field can be what impacts the EAP. So we do want to facilitate the discussion moving forward that way. As far as the participants, I would encourage all the board members to be part of it. It's not required. What we want is the stakeholders who are going to be making the decisions in those circumstances to be there. If they can't make it, their deputy or their other replacement person will be there in order to say, well, according to the plan, this is what I would do. And then we can test those decisions in order to see what needs to be changed with the EAP. So it is a very effective way in order to do something, because if we have to do it after an emergency, that's when the real stress starts. So,
Would you recommend that we do the tabletop for the summer event or winter event first?
yeah, I mean, we could make it to where it's both at once. Have a first session as the summer and the second session as the winter. And that can be, I guess, modified as we get further in the planning process. If we feel that we do need to make a separate meeting for that, have it split them up, we can do that. But the way that it's looking right now is we'd be able to effectively do a scenario on each of the peak seasons. We call winter peak, so I think that we have a good, effective way of moving forward with this testing of the emergency action plan. And he's correct about funds that would have to be expended. Typically, if it is a longer period of time that you're going to require people to be there, even is a good thing. So there's minimal cost that has to go into that. It's just whether the state's going to need to reimburse the consultant at all. Those are kind of unknown. So it should be a very low financial impact on the county or the dam authority in order to put these on. I rarely have to submit any funds or spend any expenses when we put on our tabletops. We're able to keep it to 2 or 3 hours. If we were to do both of the scenarios, we might move into the 4 or 5 hour time block, and food and refreshments would be necessary.
I think too, if we were talking a little bit about logistics, I mean, we want the key people that will be speaking or role-playing their responsibilities. And I think it makes sense to maybe do it in a room like this and have it available for the public, just like this is broadcast, not really making it open to questions and input by the public, but making it available, and then we can receive feedback too.
Go ahead. I've got a question on the EAP. I didn't see that the village was included as one of the stakeholders.
Which in either version?
Well,
What page are you on?
I was in 17, but I might have missed it, but I didn't see that
No, that was my first draft on 17, and I left it there for compare and contrast, mostly because you could see what the graphics might look like, and I did a better job with the placeholder graphics on the first version, but I think I made it more concise in the second draft with the idea that you could put anything in there. And one of the things I added too is that running flask is a key component of this. And obviously, he's our primary technician and operator for the dam. That was missed on my first draft, and I added it to the second. So this is, please send me feedback. I want your feedback and input. I want your notes. And then I presume you and I write this, and I'd be assisting Matt write this. 'Cause again, this is his wheelhouse.
Yeah, it would seem appropriate to have the village here because they have a lot of facilities downstream of the dam with the marina and, the restrooms. And I don't know what type of waste disposal system they have. They probably have pumping stations down there, I'm assuming, for something. The other thing, entity that I didn't see in there was the National Park Service. And because the ferry services both North and South Manitou Island, I don't know if it'd be the Park Service or the ferry service that might be a stakeholder that you want to include because.
Please send me notes via email, and then probably what will happen is Matt and I will do like a writing session, workshop, and we'll sit here and we'll try to incorporate all those things into one cohesive document.
Okay, well, I'll get you that information.
And just copy us both.
One other quick comment. I've been involved in debriefings for storms and electrical power outages, and one of the biggest lessons learned I always hear is communication. And I see that on page 10, you've got a communication sequence protocol, but there aren't any, just food for thought, there aren't any names or numbers associated with that. So what I've heard is you need a master list, if you will, of the names of the people who to call, the numbers, and so that's readily available because communication is usually a problem. And I've also heard it's very helpful to know who you're communicating with. So for example, if we need to communicate with Eagle or we need to communicate with the facilities director or the incident commander, that those people even have had a brief conversation ahead of an emergency. So they, in general, know each other or who to call or who they're communicating with.
100% correct. I mean, the fact is that you had your facilities director draft an emergency action plan. When the emergency management director drafts an emergency action plan, it speaks to all those issues. Please, those are great comments. I mean, I'll go back and review this meeting and try to pull as many of those suggestions as I can find. But please, we want your feedback, we want your input. I think, again, Matt's gonna have final edit because this is his expertise. So that is absolutely correct.
You bring up a good point. What we have run into historically is that even if we finalize the plan and we put names, in those positions, within the 3 years that we review the plan and update it, some of those names change. So there's been a movement to move toward titles instead of individual people. So I just don't want you to be surprised if it's not call Pat.
Yeah.
In the past, we would call Jerry, and Jerry never changed. And some of the plans were Jerry was going to stand in the river and hold all the water back.
That would work.
So, I don't want you to be surprised if you see something like that.
No, I understand titles, but even throughout, like you talked about, updating this more frequently, just that maybe once a year contact of trying to get to know people and who we're supposed to be calling, because that's typically what I hear is communication was the worst thing outside of the disaster.
That's as easy as just making that as an appendix. So we can use titles in the plan, we create an appendix in the back, and then every year we can address changes in the dam authority.
Yeah. So these are living documents. So once the board approves this, that's not the final formula. This should be looked at every single year. You might have some that pop up, that makes you realize you're missing something in the EP. And at the very minimum, at least these contacts need to be looked at and updated.
Just a structural question. I think we as in the Drain Commission, we're a recommending body. I don't think we hold authority as far as even if this is going to be representative of actions taken at the decision-making level. Now, Tim, as drain commissioner, does the drain commissioner have an official role in this? Or do we have an official role of authority in this?
So I believe the county drain commissioner is the delegated authority listed by the county, the county.
That's what I understand as well.
Yeah, that's true.
But we, as a drain commission, even if someone else was the chair or the vice chair, in case the chair wasn't there, are maybe recommending, they may ask our opinion, but we're not going to be part of the actual decision-making process.
That sounds like it may be correct. I mean, a lot of this, as you know, is done to generate comments and to make the public aware of the thought processes here in the county and what's going on. So that sounds to me like you're right, you know?
I don't know for sure either. That's one
I
of the
know
reasons I brought it up.
that the drain commissioner is so the dam operator is the drain commissioner. He delegates a lot of those responsibilities, you know, through my department. And so I see us as support staff for his responsibility.
And you were saying drain commission, but you meant
Yeah.
Leland Dam
Dam
Authority.
Authority.
You meant Leland Dam Authority, right?
No, as chair of the Leland Dam Authority, I'm not sure that has an actual authoritative role in decision-making
Oh.
during a disaster. So I did mean
Oh, you did.
so in that respect, we're represented, if you will. Our chair will be there with a seat at the table. But, I mean, we may look at the table, but I don't think we have a seat at the table.
So we'll have to look at your structure internally. I know other counties their commissional board has the power to elect their authority. So I don't know how it's structured here, but that might be an avenue. But again, I think that requires augmentation of the legal requirement to do so.
So if nothing else, we can figure, I mean, there will be many other benefits, but that will help clarify that before there's an emergency. And so we know who actually does have authority and who doesn't.
Yeah. My understanding is like I've tried to say in my language, like I'm support for Tim as drain commissioner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
A question about the tabletop exercises. The communication sounds simple when all the right people are together in one room. Is there a recommendation in a real emergency, the right tools for communication? Cell phones are everywhere, but I'm not sure that's the right tool to communicate in a real emergency.
Well, a lot of that does depend on the scenario. Depending on how we choose to attack, whatever situation we want to test and go about the plan that way. I will say as we get further on into, years behind us and more tabletops, typically what we like to do is take the top guy out of it. He's on vacation in Tahiti or something. So, that further tests communication that way. Realistically, if there was some kind of failure, I highly doubt that the cellular network is going to be affected. So cell phones might be a good play factor in the communication exercise. Landlines are few and far between now. But as far as emergency services, police, fire, and EMS, they would have their radio system. And different kind of communication apps that they use for their operations and command structure. So we could take those into account as well. But as far as a major form of communication taken away in the situation, I don't know enough to say that it would be a factor.
And these are the things that is kind of the like I mentioned earlier, this is the Dungeons and Dragons, dungeon master part of this. So the facilitator can throw in some of these curveballs. Maybe after we run feel comfortable with the process. But as we do these throughout the year and we start to feel confident in our emergency action plan, then you start throwing in some of those curveballs and say, okay, no radio, solar event, tower goes down, whatever, But the points you're bringing up are actually the points. It's like when emergency events occur, you don't rise to the occasion, you rise to your highest level of training. And so this gives us the capacity, and it gives us a mechanism to train for the event. And so, just like any other, operation, we'll practice that. And then we'll change scenarios and try to work on coordination.
Matt, what do you suggest going forward, once we do go through the tabletop, and how often should we exercise?
I think Pat had a good little timeline there. Every 3 years seems to be
Okay.
a pretty good schedule to set. I think that can be modified, when we do get the safety reports back from Spicer. If we feel that we need to create another one, we can absolutely do that. But as far as the recurring timeline, I think 3 years is a good recommendation.
I'd also say in your planning meeting, add an agenda item for the January dam authority meeting, review of emergency action plan. And that would be a good time to change phone numbers or department heads, recommend change, review. You can review it, but then you're going to take a hard look at it every 3 years when you're getting new data from the 3-year inspection.
Any other questions? I know I think we included 4 in with 3, didn't we?
Yeah, I think we transitioned kind of went that right to the other.
Right, yeah. Is there any other things you'd like, to cover? Or?
No, I felt like we had a good discussion on the items, the outline that I kind of made out there. We got the real professionals for each topic that I was spitballing at, so that make me feel happy with what we were able to put together.
Yeah, I want to thank you for your time and effort. We have to start somewhere, so here it is.
That's it, just get someplace to start.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
How soon
Yeah, thank you.
might we do a tabletop?
My guess, and Matt can adjust my guesses, I think that Matt and I can probably have this together by, have a really good fleshed out version of this thing. Probably March. I mean, maybe sooner.
March or April, it kind of depends on availability too. So, I don't see anything that will be an impediment on my department, so March could be possible.
I think we could have a really good EAP by March. Obviously, we'll be concurrently figuring out what the board of commissions wants us to do with this. And then I would maybe say, depending on how busy things are, you could run it in the shoulder season. So we could have a good EAP in place.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, things get busy with the summer and budget planning, so like my role in that, Matt's role, we get tasked with a lot of stuff during that period, but that gives us a lot of time to make preparations for a well-conducted event in the shoulder season.
Yeah.
And so that would be my recommendation. And then again, the timeline being losing funding for it at the end of 26.
Yeah, I think that's a fiscal year.
So before October.
So
So September.
The latest.
Yeah.
September, actually conducting it in September.
September will be good because that's actually when we close the dam and do greasing of it, so you could play that into the scenario.
Yeah, that would be good.
So-
Does this need approval of us or the county board? No?
I don't think so. It's mostly informative, make sure that everybody's on the same sheet of music.
Good. Well, thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, for your time and effort and all of it. Well, we're on to, done with the action items, on to public comment. No public comment? Seeing none, hearing none. Any authority member comments?
No more? No?
Four south.
Okay, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Also move?
Second?
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, yeah, we have an adjournment. Thank you.
Thank
Is
you.
our next meeting the 24th or 25th?